I'm Marvin Minsky, and I teach at MIT in subjects of theories about how to make machines that are intelligent, whatever that means. And I come from a combination of mathematics and physics and electrical engineering and psychology and biology, and I try to get my students to combine all those kinds of ideas to invent new things. In the conference next June called Global Future 2045, and there's a web page at gf2045.com, which should have news about that meeting and presumably some discussion before and after the actual meeting in New York City. And many people like me will be arguing and discussing ideas like these about the future of human minds. Many science fiction writers have talked about the future of human minds and what will happen if we eliminate death and people can live forever and keep growing and so forth. I doubt that very much of that will happen by 2045, but who knows? And this conference will be discussing questions like that.
Overall, how optimistic are you about the prospects for AI, particularly at the human level, as we go forward?
It's a very important question because I think we're going to need AIs before long, and the reason is one that you've considered, but most people haven't, which is that human longevity is going to grow very rapidly. In the past 60 years, in the developed countries, the lifespan has been increasing about 1 year every 4, so that people live 15 years longer now than they did in 1940. And I expect that this will keep going on or accelerate because nobody knows the causes for aging, but it's one reason to be optimistic is that we live twice as long as the chimpanzees. They live about 40 years, we live about 80 years, and it's been only 4 or 5 million years, not many genes have changed. So it could be that you can double the lifespan by just changing a few genes or whatever, and I expect that we'll discover what those are pretty soon, and so we're going to face an interesting situation where people live for, say, 200 years, and of course they'll only have one child per person because the planet can't stand too many people. So there'll be a 160-year-old child for each 160-year-old semi-retiree, assuming people have to retire at all. Basically, there'll be no one to do the work. So we're going to need very smart machines to make the beds and nail the solar panels to the tops of the telephone poles and all the things that have to be done. So I hope we'll start working on trying to make resourceful, versatile machines much sooner, but once people start working on them, I can't imagine any particular obstacle for why they shouldn't get smarter and smarter. Of course, we have to worry that the first few hundred versions will be dangerous or treacherous or filled with mysterious bugs, and you have to be careful not to put them in charge of anything for a while, but that's true of any machine. And when cars came in, you had to teach people not to scare the horses with them.
So Aubrey de Grey, what kind of a man is he?
He's marvelous. I was really surprised because when I say he's marvelous, I mean he thinks the same way I do. Cars don't have diseases. They have rust. But if you have enough resources, you can replace each part and you still have the same car. It's a sort of philosophical joke.
And you'd agree with Aubrey de Grey that it's possible to do that with human beings?
It seems to me anybody who says it's impossible is a very strange pundit. How can you be sure that such a thing is not possible? You can't know till you try, and if you try and fail, you can't know that you tried the right thing. People who think they know what's possible or what's not are foolish. They don't know what's possible.
So do you believe that immortality really is something more than a dream?
Oh, I think immortality is a perfectly reasonable goal, and it's hard to think of a more important one. Well, I have hundreds of years of work to do right now, and I'm sure that if I got the chance to do that, I'd have thousands of years of work to do after that. So it's very frustrating to have done as much as I have and have this foolish reason to stop.
The foolish reason being?
That I've evolved from creatures that don't live long enough. I mean, some tortoises live longer than people. Why should we be satisfied with what we've got?